so many familiar faces. Almost feels like I'm home, even though it's my first time here, so thank you. I became a dentist when I was 8 years old. I didn't think I wanted to become a dentist. I actually became one. This was back in India. Growing up, we lived in an apartment on the 4th floor and no air conditioning. And the summers in India can get really, really hot, like 110 degrees. No air conditioning. But you know who had AC? Dr. Iyer. He had a dental clinic on the 1st floor of that building. And guess where I spent my summers? Hanging out in Dr. Iyer's office. And I remember this one day, I skipped down to the practice and I said, "Hey, Dr. Iyer, what are you doing today?" "Hello, Meghana. What do you want to do today? Do you want to pull a tooth?" And I turned around, and who was in the chair but Amma, our neighbor who lived on the 3rd floor. She knew me since I was a baby. Now, between you and I, she had a tooth that was loose, like 1 periodontal ligament. I am not exaggerating. But she was scared. And he felt if he could show her that even a child could do it, it's not that bad. So he numbed her up, and I got to hold the real forceps, the one that real dentists use, and I got to pull a tooth. I became a dentist when I was 8 years old. And that was what led me into the journey of becoming a dentist. From that day on, everything I did was with the intention of becoming the best dentist I could ever become. That dream came true when I went to dental school. A few years into practice, my life changed. Yes, boys, a boy happened. But we found out that we lost my father-in-law, and he was only 54 years old. And as we went home to the funeral, I couldn't help but notice that my husband was almost unfazed by the fact that he'd lost his dad at such a young age. He was almost resigned to the fact. And as I asked more questions, as I dug deeper, what I did realize that almost all of the men in his family had died at such a young age. And while he accepted that as, oh, it's genetics, it's family genetics, this thing just happens in our family, I refused to accept that as an answer. And I dug deeper. And what I did learn is that sleep apnea, sleep disordered breathing had contributed, probably was one of the reasons why we lost family members at such a young age. And of course, I was determined that Rahul was not going to be one of those statistics. I was going to make sure, well, he has to do the taxes, right? And that was what led me on my journey into sleep apnea. I've spent the last 10 years diving deep, learning everything I could about sleep apnea, sleep disordered breathing. And what I did learn was that it's not just adult men or adult women, but even children that can suffer from this. So what I want to share with you today is what we have learned within the practice as to how we can not just implement this, impact patients' lives, but also how we can improve profitability within the practice, impacting the lives of our teams as well. It comes down to basically 3 things we learned: screening, treating the patient, and getting paid. We all want to get paid. As for screening, the big thing we realized was getting our teams trained, getting our team on board. If we can establish a set of systems, which we have, teaching our teams, teaching our hygienists, our assistants, as to what sleep apnea is. What is the science behind this? What are the treatment options? How can we help our patients? What questions to ask? What to look for? I've learned training my hygienist to ask a simple question every time we have a patient in the chair. How are you sleeping? Do you snore? Has your significant other noticed you choking or gasping for breath? Or if we have a child in the room, who wants that kid? Not me. Right? Talking about ADD, ADHD. Did you know the signs and symptoms of a child with ADHD are the exact same as that of a child that is sleep deprived? And if we can fix their sleep, if we can get that child to getting healthier, more quality, restful sleep, we can take away as much as 50% of those kids can have medications taken away from them. Statistics has proved that. Creating those systems, creating a set of questions as to what our teams can ask, how they can communicate with our patients. Treatment options. We know the CPAP is the gold standard, but not everybody's able to use it. We as dentists have a dental solution to a medical problem. Training our team to be able to offer that support. Huge increase in the productivity, in the profitability of our practices. And getting paid. Medical billing is the big monster in the room because as a dental team, we are not. It scares us, I'll be honest. But we have a 5-step process over time that we've developed that we know helps us get paid faster and takes the stress work, the guesswork out of that for our teams. So there are a lot of Rahuls, there are a lot of children with dreams. And as a dentist that has successfully embraced in bringing sleep medicine into my practice, I know how we can impact lives. I know how we can change lives, not just of our patients, our practices, but our teams as well. And if this message of hope and health and healing is something that you would like to bring to your offices, to your teams, to your audiences, to your attendees, I would love to be able to help. Thank you.